Hello, welcome to session 7 of Horizon and Marmoris. We took a little bit of a break last week, but we're back at it. So who wants to do a recap for last week in exchange for a beat into the pool?
Yeah, go on then, I'll do it. So last time we had a kind of investigation into the disease that was stricken the community on Saint Hilary,
Mm-hmm.
and managed to recover some corpses of a few of the villagers who had been killed by the English, and we found a some kind of curse that had been placed on the island or the village or something. But before we could really figure out what it was in terms of fate magic, we disabled it, or well, Hull disabled it um, by by kind of removing the token from a pig's beheaded corpse, which is all
Headless.
pretty gross. Headless, yes. Um, and Yeah, and then we kind of talked over what we wanted to do with, uh, do about this problem with the English threatening Dalian's people, and kind of settled on. I believe the plan was find some way to protect the village from the Doopies, these ghostly entities, which we kind of done by protecting them with a bit of magic and pulling down this curse, hopefully.
Taking the
Uh,
corpses back home too.
yes, yeah, and that. Um, and Then we also needed to do a bit of reconnaissance on the English's colony, so that we can take the fight to them.
Okay, yeah. I think that's about everything. I will small piece of information that Kesson would know, in particular. This isn't the only place on the island where Kesson has seen this sort of porcine resonance before. So while others may be confident that dealing with this particular pig corpse has dealt with the curse, Kesson may have doubts. Um, and we pan the camera back into this group of four folks of eccentric and varied appearances standing around a headless pig stuffed with tobacco leaves in a swamp, or in a mangrove forest, rather.
I don't know if I did last session, but did I roll for some sort of occult roll to see what kind of ritual that might have been used or what the intention was behind that?
I don't remember either, so give me an intelligence plus occult.
All right.
-2.
Oh, I think I'd done it before, but the -2 rings a bell.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I think I tried and I failed, but I'm not sure. But I'm gonna roll.
Yeah, just roll it.
Holy macaroni!
Oh, was that a regular die? Cool. Um, it was. So, yeah, something is tickling at the back of Dalian's brain. Like, in terms of sort of the cultural and religious and superstitious knowledge that Dalian has learned in sort of a codified fashion from his apprenticeship with Samara, learning about Obia, his knowledge about various Christian occult traditions, about, maybe there's even a couple of facts about Jewish mysticism in his head. But none of those seem to fit exactly with the idea of, a headless pig stuffed with tobacco leaves with some sort of token inside of it. But looking over, the things that they have access to, this uh, locket sort of stands out to him as something that could be a lead, something that could be sort of important to figuring out what was going on here. The locket doesn't appear to be sort of anything exceptional to his eyes. It's not inscribed with, Norse runes declaring a divine pestilence or anything of the sort. It's a fairly standard looking, locket that has a small, not photograph, but a sort of small, lock of, dark black hair in it. Which also appears quite old, just from looking at it. The color is faded, the texture is a bit dried out, even though it was surprisingly well preserved due to being both in the locket and surrounded by tobacco leaves. But nothing else about this strikes him as corresponding with an occult tradition that he knows, other than the fairly obvious symbology of a headless pig.
Yeah. Very well. So Dalian is going to just examine the lockets again and again, just...
And reminder for the players and the viewers back home, Dalian currently has the obsessed condition, obsessed specifically with punishing the English, because Dalian dramatically failed an attempt to cast post-cognition on, this assemblage of elements, and became convinced that it must be the English fault. Even without seeing what happened, I know that the English are responsible for this.
Yes.
And so he becomes quite good at things related to punishing the English, and not as good at things which don't relate to punishing the English.
So I have 9 again on punishing the English, is that correct?
Let me...
I don't remember exactly.
My PDF, the one thing that I forgot to open, that I always forget to.
Yes, that's it. I get 9 again on all roll related to my obsession.
Yep. Okay. So, you know this information. What is everyone else sort of sitting around thinking? Scout, I don't know if you had a chance to look at the recording of last session to know well enough what's going on, but we're just going to retcon that Pascal is here.
You stepped out of the mirror.
I'm a bit fuzzier on the ending part.
Okay. So as far as the ending of the session goes, Dalian failed to post-cognate dramatically, and also didn't make very much progress on scrutinizing this aura of fate around the thing, because it started to fade quickly after a piece of it was removed. So at this point, I think you're all just sort of standing around. There's a body of a young maroon that was recovered from a tree, which is currently in the boat, and you're all sort of discussing what to do.
Hull is pretty satisfied that whatever it was seems to have dissipated. So where she kind of charged past earlier on seeing the pig resonance, is now going to kind of return to the task of kind of getting the bodies down and getting them sort of respectfully kind of return to the village. And if there's anybody who isn't doing anything, then she's probably gesturing for them to help her with that.
No, after a while, Dalian just grumbling with a medallion and just instead, like, if someone wants to take it, he's going to just put it around his neck. I know he's already has his artifact. He's going to put it around his neck anyway to just like, this is not what we came here for. This is good, but he's going to focus on the bringing the body of his acquaintance back home.
Okay. So what about the rest of you? Any other business out here with the pig? Do you leave the pig out here?
I can't find much purpose for it, really. Problem is, it's dead.
Yeah, well, the pig itself is dead. There are non-dead things in it. Does Kessin mention...
I mean,
Does Kessin mention that he's seen this sort of, or they've seen this sort of resonance elsewhere in the jungle to the rest of the Cabal, or do they keep that to themselves?
Well, I don't want to. I really don't want to get in the way of Darren's excited, like we found the purpose of all this, etc., the cause of all this. But
He's not super excited about it.
So is Dalian's obsession manifesting as sort of quietly intense about, this idea of revenge against the
he's
English?
quietly disgruntled. Let's say that. He's quietly disgruntled about the whole situation. Like, just had to take down the corpse of one person he knew since probably forever.
No, I really want to suggest that we create our own pigman from this thing, but no, we're not going to do that today.
Shadow name Dr. Morrow.
Yeah.
Has that book been written yet?
No, but it doesn't matter.
Look, there are two paths that are going to go down here. It's going to be either Dr. Doolittle or Dr. Moreau, and I think we know which one is more likely. Out here in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, at this point, I think I'd say, I don't want to excite anyone here, but I think that this is not the only source of what's doing this this plague-bearing. I probably describe it as a humor. Best way to describe it. I picked up on it earlier as well, closer to the village in the forest. So there might be another pig's head, or maybe something else they've left there as a nice, and by nice I mean terrifying and truly problematic. Like looking at Dalian, like truly a big problem we have to deal with. I'm not excited to find out how they're making this sense. Not at all. No.
I have a question for Sir Toast.
Shoot.
So Fate 1 interconnection allows me to detect sympathy, more in sort of fate-like
Between
paradigm?
subjects, yes.
Yes.
Sure, go ahead.
Sorry.
Continue with your question.
Like if I cast it on the medallion, would I be able, because I think if I cast it on medallion right now, if it has any sympathetic connection, it's gonna be out of my visual range. So when it said I can follow them, will it be like a trail, no? Okay.
So
That's...
sympathetic connections are what Fate gets you in terms of Fate unveiling is sympathetic connections between subjects. You're investigating sort of the correspondence of destiny between these two things to figure out perhaps how they fit into each other's story. So if you cast the spell on multiple subjects, you could see what sympathetic links exist between them, if at all.
Yeah,
so,
I would need
for
to
example,
have
if you
both
cast it on, two lovers, you would see the sympathetic connection of, love between them, of, my partner.
I would need to have both the... Basically, my spell would need to have both the subjects and the area is to... Okay, so it's not something I could it's not space correspondence.
There are certainly... Let's see what else in the purview of Fate that an unveiling might be able to uncover. Let's see. For the viewers at home, the listed purviews of Fate are blessings, hexes, probability, fortune, oaths, promises, intentions, and destiny.
Looking at it, I would need, for what I have in mind, I would need space. So,
yes, space would allow you to sort of follow all of the connections that this has to others.
Would it be followed literally over spatial, or is it just?
So you would.
I don't know.
Has Pascal ever done this before. Now that Pascal
Obviously
sort of
not.
has this concept of, sympathetic connections as mirrors, as, a reflection within the internal chest of mirrors. Has Pascal ever tried to follow the reflection of one of those mirrors, so to speak?
Not yet.
So he doesn't know. Maybe he'd find out.
Dalian, are you going to try casting something, or are you saying something? Considering, the closeness to Dalian, Pascal is going to be, kind of taking a more secondary role here.
No, just look at Medallion, just looks very annoyed and a bit lost, I guess, or unsure of what to do.
All right. Pascal's probably gonna directly ask, like, all right, what's the next step then? You want to track down that other resonance?
Yeah, if we can, but I want to get the body
But
back
that doesn't
home
sound
first.
related to the English.
No, it's English that put it there. Know it. I know it. It's English.
It's that meme of where you got all that Christmas lights and you're going like, I know the English are behind this.
But we need to get the body back home, and then we need to return to the ship, I guess. Do we have enough time to frolic around in the jungle, or?
That's
What
a good
time is it?
question, as
Yeah.
I would like whoever is not currently actively piloting the boat to give me a perception check. Or the skiff, rather.
Who's
Hold on.
I'm doing a perception check.
I believe it was Dalian who was rowing when you came out here, so I
Yes.
assumed it would be the same on the way back.
Yeah.
Good. I can give one that's wits composure.
Yep, you
this
can also
would-
just click the eyeball on your sheet.
Okay. Execute.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm back.
So, Pascal,
Wait, who's rolling perception?
everyone except Dalian, who is busy
Okay.
making
Yep.
you not crash and die.
Well, I have trained observer.
Nice. Get that 9 again.
8 again. I got it at the second level.
Oh.
And yet,
Anticlimactic. Okay,
Oh.
so everyone is, looking around, they're observing the jungle around them, maybe occasionally helping Dalian out by pointing out a route or something, when looking out towards the open ocean, through the trees, there's a moment where, this mangrove forest has a big gap in coverage between the trunks. It frames this, big, nice open stretch of sea, when the three of you see a very familiar ship-like shape that looks a whole lot like La Rosa, which is sailing directly towards the encampment. Or rather, towards the English encampment.
Ah,
It looks like it's a couple of, knots away. The island's not huge, but it's not small, and it'll be there, probably in a matter of an hour/hours. Since you're sort of on the other side of the island. Sorry, what was that?
Are the cannons ready?
With successes, yeah. It looks like, everything's ship shape from that regard. You see, people scurrying around on top of the deck. You see, the hatches over the cannons pulled back, and those black maws poking out.
Can I see the anchor?
We'll just say that it's up.
Okay, I'd like to cast a spell. I would like to cast what is the name of the spirit spell?
What are you attempting to have the spirits do?
So I'm going to coax the spirit of the anchor's on like a rope or a chain.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to kind of untie itself and basically drop the anchor.
Okay, so coaxing the spirit of the knot to unknot itself.
Yeah, I want to bring that ship to a halt.
So the anchor is. This is where I should have brushed up on mechanisms, but I assume that the anchor is sort of like held up by some sort of mechanism, which you probably can see that. Maybe you can see like a lever or something. So I'll say that definitely you can do that with spirit magic, not necessarily targeting the anchor, but some part of the mechanism holding the anchor up.
Cool, let me just get the spell rolling.
Let me use magic to solve all our problems.
I've got the right
That's the way.
information.
And it will never fail you.
So that's at sensory range, instant casting, so no... sorry about this one sec. And I'm going to be using my 2 dots of shadow name, because this is bringing something to a halt.
I like it.
Kind of bit of stasis there. Where the hell did I put in the yantras?
The yanchas are underneath the primary factor, I think, on the boundary. Yeah.
I've hit cast the spell, but it doesn't seem to be doing anything.
Oh, sometimes that happens.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. And no paradox, I assume, so everything looks fine. Yeah, so you all see this ship. You see, the ship sort of on war bearing, some familiar shapes on deck of it. And almost as soon as you do, framed by the trunks, your peripheral mage sight picks up an effect originating from Hull as suddenly you hear some yells as the anchor comes loose and plunges from the back of the deck to the what's the word, the aft, or is that the front? Whatever.
I think the aft is
The aft is behind. The fore is the front.
Okay, yep, that's what I want then. The aft, the anchor drops from the aft, plunges into the relatively shallow water. You're, not there, not in the shoals, but they're nearest to the coast. And before too long, you see the ship sort of founder in its forward momentum and start, twisting around the anchor. It's not completely stopped. It's still dragging the anchor along just by force of its momentum because the sails are still full. But it's majorly slowed, and your keen non-elven ears hear shouts coming from it. From the ship, rather.
Yeah, Hull kind of didn't even stand up to do this, just kind of, if anybody looks at her, she's just holding up a hand and eyes closed.
Cool.
My God, it's like Yoda.
There are worse things she's been called, sure.
So what next?
Dalian's seen the ship, that the ship is going to approach the cabman. Is going to steer the tiny skiff toward the ship.
Are you sure you want to do that?
We have a
can't
course.
really take it.
Yes.
I
forgot about that.
You're also sort of inland at this point. I imagine that you've navigated up from the river mouth into the interior of the island, and you're going along. So it would require a little bit of turning back to make it back to the Mangrove River mouth, which you could certainly do, especially now that the ship is significantly slowed in its forward progress.
I mean, if we're closer to the Maroon encampment, then I'm gonna go there first.
Okay. You certainly can return to the encampment.
I mean, I think it'd be a good idea to, because this has slowed them down. But I think it would be a good idea if we went and just checked in on the ship, because we've been out for what?
I mean,
couple of
yeah,
days
but
now? Just
my
make sure that they're not gonna jump the gun here.
yeah, my concern is more that we have a corpse with us, so might raise some questions.
Oh, sure, but like we can explain that to them, is what I mean. Because if we leave them to just raise the anchor again, and
That's true.
like I'm not saying okay, we're just gonna hop on board and then we'll go and attack the guys.
You could
But
also
They clearly
split up.
seem insistent on starting. Yeah, you could drop a couple of us off.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would
There
be
are
I'll do
ways
that.
to make it back to the Maroon encampment, sort of on foot. It'll be certainly a little bit slower, especially while hauling a human-shaped body. But you could do it. Dalian knows how.
I could also give everyone the ability to breathe underwater.
Well, maybe save that, just in case.
That's very
But-
useful, but in our
Hopefully-
situation,
Hopefully, it will not be useful.
I don't feel that's gonna fix anything.
It's like from one about.
Oh man,
This is
how are we
like,
going to explain
everyone-
this dead body?
I have a cunning plan.
Dalian is gonna say, wait, do we have any cloth or things like that? Like in... Oh, hold on, let me check my... No, I'm not an Abrimo, so I cannot turn things invisible.
So you probably have some oilcloth that you brought with you. I'm fine if you say that, you do that just to keep things dry in the skiff.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to hide the body and then go toward the boat so it doesn't attack the Maroons.
Okay, you're all turning around and heading there, out towards the river mouth. Sounds good. Dalian, give me a
Yes.
strength plus
I am
survival
strong.
or athletics roll.
Both have the same value, so
Sure, just tell me which one.
athletics.
All right, hit that row machine.
One is enough.
One is indeed enough. Okay, so you're making good time. You probably need to have someone, get out and help you, manually turn the boat around, given the narrowness of the river here. But once that's done, you're back the way that you came. You've literally just made this trajectory, so it's pretty easy. And before too long, you're out in open water heading towards La Rosa. By the time you get back to the mouth of the Mangrove Forest River, or Mangrove River, you see that the anchor is sort of being pulled up, and what's his name?
The captain?
Yeah, Captain Baltasar de la Vega is,
yes.
Standing up there haranguing someone. You can't hear at this juncture with your normal person senses what he's saying, but you can recognize by his very exaggerated body language by this point that he's incensed. And I assume you're rowing out towards the ship. Anything that you're doing while you're out that way other than covering up the body in oilcloth?
probably try and get their attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's easy
Waving
enough
it
to
on,
do.
yeah.
How do you do so? Just standing up and waving, or?
Yeah, just chatting out to them, waving, just being like, "Whoa, hold up, it's us," kind of thing.
Okay. You guys make it broadside before too long, and a rope ladder is dropped to you.
We're not taking is someone gonna stay here? We all gonna go up? Because
Diane looks like say, I'm gonna go to. You go up and explain. I'm gonna meet you at the camp.
Pascal will
Hull-
nod.
Hull is going to get back on the boat.
Yeah, and
Yep.
clamber up the rope ladder.
up you go. You find yourselves sort of climbing up in the midst of a lot of hubbub and commotion. People seem to have tasks that they are or were going about before the interruption of suddenly being brought to anchor. You probably, in fact, even see some people, nursing wounds from when the ship suddenly caught and people were probably, tossed off their feet. Maybe some cuts and scrapes and bruised foreheads. And as you come up, Raoul, the quartermaster, comes over and says, well, that's fortuitous timing. The men had gotten sick of waiting, so they were about to go start helping themselves to some English plunder, and now you're back to join us.
And do they have any information on the English, numbers or defenses or anything like that?
Raoul says that the Crow's Nest boy, I forget what I named him, says that they only have the one frigate sort of harbored around them as far as they, or, at the settlement on St. Hilary as far as they can tell. Likely, British Navy. Unclear, sort of. Or the plan was that if they, went in hard and fast, then hopefully they wouldn't have time to get the frigate out to open water before the pirates were upon them and got off the first volley. As far as numbers of men onshore, no idea.
And any idea what sort of plunder they have? Where you would go to get it? Anything like that? Or were we just going to kind of go in blind on that front and blunder around until enough of us get killed?
Oh, more the latter.
Mm-hmm. So I'm sensing you're kind of on my side here in terms of rushing in.
So essentially the crew knows what Dalian told the captain last time when he was selling Balthazar on this stop. And if I remember correctly, I think he mentioned that the English had supplies of their own, water, food, animals, and possibly some agriculture, usually sugar in this climate, but that's uncertain. But yes, the gist you're getting across is that, they don't know what they would find aside from, food and water is something that Raoul is aware of. But given that, this is a democracy now, shrug.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, but do I get the sense that Raoul is also like, we probably shouldn't be rushing into this?
I think that Raoul thinks it would go fine given their numbers, but would not have chosen to rush in without you returning. I think that's more the point that, or that's more the hang-up that he in particular has. The rest of the crew, probably a little more antsy after spending a day anchored.
Okay. Yeah. I just kind of out of character, guys. Like, do we want to pull the trigger now?
I think, yeah, I'd be fine with it. Yeah, I'm starting like a plunder. I mean, I don't want I'd like to minimize casualties on us, even at the expense of some plunder.
I'd be fine with it, but Dalian is not presently here.
Yeah.
We are seven sessions in. It is time to pirate.
Yeah, it feels a little strange. It feels a little strange just kind of going, okay, bye, Dalian, when Dalian is the one who...
Yeah, like I feel like because Dalian's obsessed with vengeance.
Well, so did Dalian turn around and start rowing back, or is Dalian still sort of, attached to the boat?
No, he's going to like he's not going to stay with the corpse any longer. He doesn't like the corpse
Okay.
of his former friend.
So Dalian is gone. Dalian has turned around and headed back towards the shore. Was any explanation offered for that bit?
Yeah, he's going to just dispose something and get some ration, and he'll be right back.
Okay.
So he said so he said he'd be right back.
Yes.
How about
Okay.
Dalian like runs a distraction on land?
By himself?
That would be good.
No.
Well, I like.
He's lucky.
You've got some magic on you. You've got some stuff going
No.
on. You don't have to be like attacking them or anything from that side. I don't know. Like I'm just trying to think like what would be a way for for Dalian to be involved without us just herring off without him.
I mean,
I think the answer
can
is
just
pretty
wait
simple. It's
15 minutes.
he's- yeah. I think it's also pretty obvious that like. I mean, 15 minutes, like that's.
I didn't realize it was that soon. Okay. Well,
I
that's
can't
fine
think
then.
much
In order to
preparation
return
needed.
to the encampment and then, or to the maroon encampment
Yeah, it
and
would be
then get to
longer.
the British encampment, it would be, a matter of hours, unless Dalian is
Okay.
just heading back to shore, dropping off the body and stowing it somewhere, and then coming back to the ship,
Oh no,
Oh.
He's okay. Like
or not stowing the body somewhere near on shore and then heading
No.
off towards wherever. That will be quick. Going back to the
No.
maroon encampment, dropping off the body, and then going elsewhere will take,
no, but
hour-ish.
wait. You say that, but I'm time mage. Let me see if I can speed myself up.
Okay.
I can't. Oh no. Really?
No, you need time 3 for the fun stuff.
Well, there's an amount that you can do. There's that compelling could achieve for you.
Mm, I mean, I couldn't guess green light, red light, but
Yeah, so manipulating sort of the flow of time around you in smaller ways that sort of makes your progress a bit quicker
Yeah.
is certainly something that time compelling is capable of.
I could try
Hold on.
casting Ground Eater on the boat.
also yeah.
It's not subtle though. I don't know.
Yeah, it definitely would very much look like something to the crew on the ship, but how much do you care about that at this juncture? And does Pascal know that it would look very obvious to the
Wait.
ship's crew?
Yeah.
Probably a little bit because he's got like the hint of the imago, but he's probably willing to like bypass it anyway. I mean, Dalian's still like down there past the rope ladder, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Like he's
We can
Bring
sort
us-
of retcon back if you're gonna, do things that require being
Yeah, don't
together,
worry.
such as discussing plans. Then we can retcon, that having happened during the ride over and during the, lowering of the rope ladder.
Yeah. If Dalian made it clear that he wanted to head out, Pascal could just do like a quick, like if Dalian's adamant about going back, Pascal would probably give him something to make it go a little bit quicker then.
Oh wait. With a ruling time can be made to momentarily accelerate to slow down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is also the sort of thing that probably, would look obvious to an observer, but how much does Dalian care, given that, silly things like caring about sleepers gets in the way of him and punishing the English.
Well, his vice is cautious, so
Yeah, he could be
Yeah.
leaning into
tend to be
his
overly
vice here.
cautious about things.
Just have big speed.
Yeah, I mean, he could be leaning into that vice, even if he knows that it means it would
Yeah,
make things a little bit harder.
because he doesn't want to be outed as a witch or anything like that by the crew. Or He knows what our European can be.
I'll cast Ground Eater then on the boat.
Okay.
Duration to be advanced. I'm gonna have quite a bit of reach on this. Can I use the ocean as a yantra because of the water as like a path yantra?
Yeah, the sort of transiting and passage and the movement of the waves. I like it.
Potency. This is only going to increase your speed by like 3 or 4. I don't really know how fast boats are.
The potency multiplies.
Because this
something
one
like
is
that?
it just adds potency to speed.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Okay,
Aren't
sure,
we
go ahead.
spending too much time on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna say that like you
spell
can
probably
get it
goes
off if you're provoking paradox. Then sure, roll the paradox, but I'm not too concerned about making you roll a bunch of times.
Yeah, and worst case scenario, the fucking crew is gonna wait a few hours. We're not going to die.
Yeah. Okay. So your spell goes off. Do you tell Dalian what you've done?
Yeah, the boat's probably gonna look relatively normal, but kind of occasionally clip through the water at odd angles.
Like that, I'm just gonna
Mhm.
I'm just gonna row towards the maroon camps and come back as soon as possible.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just gonna say that it makes the boat faster.
Okay. Sounds good. And I presume Dalian leaves.
Yes, as fast as possible.
Okay. So as Dalian turns and rows, he finds sort of the space between him and the shore, coming, a smidge faster than he would expect. He's clearing these waves. Things are coming close, or things are coming underneath the prow of his boat sooner than he expects. It's a little disorienting at first, but he's getting the hang of it. And meanwhile, as the Cabal is watching this from the shore, they can recognize that something's off, and they recognize that at least a couple of crew members also notice that something is off, and they're looking very confused and disoriented. And by a couple, I mean the two who were helping you up, who are looking over, watching Dalian go. The rest, notice Dalian go, but they don't seem to actually pay too much attention.
We've seen that before.
And roll dice for those off. And Pascal, this was an instance in which you possibly you had an idea of what was going on. You had the imago, but roll me 5 dice.
Okay. Do I press? This is how I roll dice without tying it to a stat like this. Yep.
Okay. Well.
Failure.
So Pascal drops in wisdom to wisdom 9, also take an arcane beat, because Hubis can be enlightening.
Is that added to the pool, or do I take the arcane beat?
You take the arcane beat. They're done. Arcane beats are still doing individually.
Okay.
So Pascal doesn't see anything wrong with this. How does that get rationalized for him?
With like casting a spell,
consequence.
even though witnesses.
Yeah, like Pascal doesn't see anything wrong with his action, or with the consequence that resulted from it. Is generally how failing the Hubis goes.
Most likely just that it's just something like a necessary risk that needs to be taken. Like it's relatively minor, people are probably not going to be noticing it anyway. He might start to have a little bit of like a blur between, I mean, he didn't have a particularly hard separation between like magic and the mundane, and he's definitely not using like a shadow name or any of that. So it might just be starting to bleed together a little bit more without him being fully aware that that's happening,
Mm-hmm.
Like to him, it's all sort of magic, and now he can just, do some of this magic. It's starting to... He's not having a hard line separation between it. No boundary.
Okay, so For that, what the book gives us is either megalomaniacal or rampant. Does one of those sound sort of more fit to Pascal than the other, or should we come up with something new?
Probably rampant just on.
Yeah,
probably
sure.
rampant.
I mean, we had a little bit of a problem. Dalian might take a bit longer to get where we want him to, and so we'd have to wait. So we use magic to get past that. And if we use magic to make us take less time in traffic, then what else can we use magic to solve for us? Cool. I have to run to the restroom, but I will be right back.
So, yeah, what the fuck are we gonna do?
I don't know.
Cover English. All of them.
Yeah. I don't really want to just run in there. That seems
Kill
kinda dangerous.
them!
Like, we'll be fine, but like the crew,
I mean, I can cast
Yeah.
divination to know.
maybe. But
Yeah.
I think the distraction might be good if we want to get in there. The the big threat is they still have another ship, right? We need to find some way to disable that.
I mean, they
The
don't
big
know.
threat is if
But
the big threat is if there is a magic user on their ship.
yeah.
Well, to
And-
us, yeah.
Also, they don't know that we're here. They have no idea. That there's a pirate ship
Today?
with pirates.
Do we want to
So-
try to go more stealthily then?
Mm.
Well, it's hard to stealthily raid.
Yeah,
True.
you can't.
What we have is the element of surprise.
Yeah.
What we don't have is exact information.
We have a bit more for the Maroon village. I don't remember exactly all of it, but it's like everything they know that Dalian told you, so...
Yeah, they didn't have a ton of information, was the thing.
Oh,
I
okay.
might be remembering wrong, but they didn't have a ton of information because
I have to ask
they were mostly
Stones.
involved in skirmishes, rather than kind of they weren't getting right up to the settlement itself. Part of me thinks that if we just kind of go in
I'm back.
and we wing it, then
Hey.
I don't know, like that's going to be messy.
Well, yeah, but raiding as pirate is messy.
Yeah, and it's speaking out of character and kind of as in terms of like what we want from the story. I think it's kind of as a first outing as pirates, it's sort of maybe can be a bit of a sobering kind of thing, like, oh shit,
Yeah,
this is not kind of simple kind of thing.
like it's definitely going to be sobering for Dalian because like he's like, well, yeah, we're gonna beat them up. He hasn't registered that there's probably going to be death on a very, very big scale.
So like that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from us just rushing in.
Okay.
But if we kind of, I don't know, if we talk the crew round to like a bit more of a careful plan. I'm not sure what that would be, but like, yeah, I like that feels like I don't know. It feels like it would kind of slow things down in terms of the narrative, and like it's the thing that makes more sense. But I don't know.
So
Not really, because like there's no careful raiding that you can do without going to the encampment and spying on them.
yeah, well, so I will interject slightly that Hall would probably know that there's the trope of we wait for nightfall to attack. That's a thing that is prominent in literature, and if you're looking to wait for when the time is right, that's probably the first thing that would jump to Hall's mind.
Okay, yeah, I think we could persuade the crew of that. So.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's not a hard sell. Give me or if you're going to try to sort of convince them to wait for nightfall, that will be a manipulation or presence plus persuasion roll +2, because that's a pretty sound idea.
success.
Okay, yeah. Raul, you're the one who you were talking to about this. So Raul sees the sense in that, relays the plan to some others. There's some agreement among the pirates, like yeah, nightfall. They won't even see us when we're on top before we're on top of them. And you get sort of general agreement from the people around you as the message starts to spread. What else do you guys do? Now that you're here on board, and while you're sort of waiting for Dalian to get back and return to the village.
I'd certainly like to kind of do a bit of build equipment and make a plan, really, because it feels like that kind of downtimey stuff is better than us, actually putting together a detailed plan, etc., because that's going to take even longer.
Sounds good. Give me your roll.
Okay, so that's wits and composure for a plan. Minus. Should we say a +3 plan? Yeah, let's do that.
Mm-hmm. As far as the outcome of this plan, we'll say that it's sort of a nice success. So we'll say that the plan will be to get you into engagement with the British encampment as bloodlessly as impossible. Once you're actually in the encampment, you know things are a little apt to go crossways. So at that point, things will start to break down, especially since you're not leading a trained combat platoon who will stick to maneuvers and all that sort of jazz. But your plan will be able to get you into the encampment as safely as possible.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Just get in, get as much surprise on them as possible. That gets us enough time to get away.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And do you talk this over with Balthazar?
Yeah, absolutely. Bringing it to Balthazar, just kind of letting as much as the crew know as possible as well, but definitely getting Raoul and Balthazar involved.
Yeah, so I imagine that you're, having this meeting, maybe even just the three of you in sort of the captain's quarters, looking at the atlas or the map or whatever, and Raoul, is helping and assisting. Balthazar still seems, comically angry and confused about the anchor going down. He's sort of veering towards, one of these useless bumbling folk, maybe knocking into it while being uncautious and sort of fixating on that for the moment, but he's listening to the plan.
Yeah, Hull is just going to be like, kind of, you need to focus, okay? We need a plan here, okay? And is really just trying to get him on side.
Okay. We will... How about we count this as an action for integrating the crew, or the company more into the crew? So what kind of dice pool are we thinking for this?
For what? For Hull
Or,
trying to tell Balthazar to...
Yeah, for getting Balthazar to focus, but, more getting Balthazar to see you as someone who's, invested in the success of the crew and has good ideas.
I think its resolve is probably the attribute we're talking about here. Yeah, just really trying to show, and Balthazar and Raoul probably notice like the difference between John and Hull, and kind of Hull is just that bit more sort of steadfast and upright kind of thing.
Is Paul still presenting as a woman right now? I forgot to ask.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But
okay,
it's just kind of not making a big thing of it, but it's just, yeah, it's not something that I really want to get into and make a big thing of in the narrative sort of thing. But it's just like going like, yeah, no, this is me, whatever kind of thing.
Okay. Well, folks definitely notice, but they, no one talks, or no one goes too much into it after sort of the initial surprise of, oh, who's that? Oh wait, is that blah blah blah? Oh yeah, they do look kind of similar, even though their hair is different and their clothes are different. Anyway, okay, yeah, sure. So give me your roll -2.
So I think, yeah, like resolve plus persuasion makes sense.
Yeah.
-2. Ooh, that's 0 successes.
Okay. So nothing goes wrong unless you want to dramatically fail it, but
No,
Balthazar definitely continues to be, seem distracted. He doesn't, lash out at you for the gall of addressing him as such, but that damn Bill. I knew I couldn't trust the English. Knocking over things. Anyway. But the plan gets made. It'll give a +3 to whoever's piloting the boat closer, which I'll keep track of. And everyone is clear on the plan that they wait for nightfall. I assume that when Dalian left, you guys sort of made some sort of signal that, they'll know when Dalian is ready, when, they see a fire in a certain spot, or they see a mirror flashing, or what have you.
Well,
So I think we can...
Is Dalian going to come back?
Yes, I will come back.
Oh, okay. I thought the plan was for Dalian to make a distraction from on shore. Okay, cool. So
he wasn't willing to do that, so
absolutely not.
right, we'll fast forward then to the evening. The sun has set. The ship, the crew have extinguished as many torches as torches and lamps on the ship as they can for maximum or minimum visibility. Thankfully, it's a waxing moon. A waxing gibbous. Yeah, so the moon's not entirely full, but there is still an amount of light. And you make your way towards the encampment on St. Hilary. You see the torches before you hear it. It's not, loud. There's not, a big raucous crowd enjoying the nightlife. But you definitely do see the aforementioned frigate, which is lit up with torches. You can probably vaguely make out shapes on the deck and lookouts on the shore. And someone is gonna roll some dice. +3. Oh, that added 3 to the results, which is not what I was looking for. 1, 2, 3, 4. Almost exceptional success, but success nonetheless. Actually, I should roll a perception just on the off chance. Nope. Okay. So, you make your way, silent as the night, quietly through the water. Minimum wake being created as you follow Hull's plan of sticking mostly to the shore, keeping sails mostly furled, until you are basically on top of the encampment. Was the plan? I imagine that the plan was to sort of get as close to the ship as or to the frigate as possible, and then launch an initial volley to try to disable them before the land party got off. So that happens. Guns fire. The frigate is sort of hit broadside and takes a lot of damage before everyone on the ship starts to scramble. Sails are unfurled, cannons are fired back, but you have a chance to get onto shore. There's ropes. Folks are swinging off of onto the onto the dock. Gangplanks are dropped. people rush out with their weapons. There's about a dozen, about a dozen who jump ashore into the torchlight of the docks, along presumably with you. Are all four of you going on land or staying with the ship, or how's this going?
How good is visibility from the ship?
So there, the deck or the dock pier, the pier is pretty well lit with torches. And there are men armed on the deck, or on the pier, but within the encampment itself, it's largely dark. Folks are, asleep with the sunset. Aside from a few scattered lamps, but lamps are being lit in response to the commotion. So I'd say into the buildings themselves, visibility is poor for the moment.
Okay, so Hull, I think, is going to stay back just somewhere where she can get a good point of view on the whole of the dock.
Okay.
Doesn't need to see inside the buildings. Just wants to keep an eye on things from there. I think that's where I can use my magic best.
And how about the rest of you?
Dalian is definitely going out into the fray. Probably, I don't know what kind of weapon we have access to, but with a.
You probably have flintlock pistols or muskets that you would have been given access to if you wanted one. There's crude swords.
Yes.
Knives.
A sword. Going to get a sword.
Okay. And Pascal
will take a crude flintlock pistol, and I guess prepare to go with Dalian.
Okay. Well, the standard is that you have multiple of them because you fire them off without having to take the time to reload. So you'd probably have like 3, we'll say. So you can fire 3 before you have to take an amount of time to reload them all.
I'm gonna activate my Fate Hammer though before.
Okay. Spend the mana. And is Kesson staying aboard or going shoreside?
Shoreside.
Okay. Okay, so I guess we've got the shore party consisting of Dalian, Pascal, and Kesson, and with Hull watching over. The soldiers on the dock are firing back at the pirates, but given the state of technology at the time and the suddenness with which they were taken, you guys managed to get onto shore without taking too many casualties. What's your plan of approach? Reminder that the overall objective is to loot and pillage. You're looking for supplies, which you assume may be sort of in a storehouse near to the dock, as well as, whatever may be stored a little further inland, closer to the farms. There are armed soldiers, obviously, at the store and warehouses. There are fewer folks sort of off in the shadows back towards the more productive parts of the encampment.
I'm looking to fight, baby.
I'm looking at what I can do to prepare myself for battle. Would it? How obvious would it be if I was to suddenly gain scaly armor?
I'm gonna say probably pretty obvious.
Yeah, unfortunately. But would Kesson know not to do that?
It's probably dark.
I mean, Kesson would know, but would Kesson care is the better question. Alright, so I guess if we're going to be going into combat, we should start off with everyone going around and saying what their objective of what they want to get out of this is. Reminder that we are playing with the optional beaten down rules, so there are a number of conditions, after which it becomes much harder for a given combatant to stay in the fight.
Dalian is looking to make them pay. is going to try and go toe-to-toe with soldiers. Not really caring about looting the place right now, just
Okay, so
needing
Dalian
to...
Dalian wants to wound British soldiers. Okay,
Yes.
cool. Pascal.
Pascal would begin heading towards like some of the loot and whatnot before probably noticing Dalian just single-mindedly, ignoring like the loot and just rushing towards the soldiers.
Sword in hand.
So I mean, you can all have sort of your own objectives for what you want to get out of this fight, what like winning this engagement looks like for you. And that's
Pascal's
sort of,
probably gonna pivot to try to assist Dalian though, because like just to make sure that he doesn't get run through.
okay. So keep Dalian safe.
Yeah, sure. Just like keep help make sure that we don't sustain too many injuries.
Okay.
Or, like, casualties at least.
Cassie.
I think I want to find out if anyone knows about the pigs, though. Like, I actually do think there's an element here of like being almost like Batman going around and saying, "Where was the
Where's the
pigs?" Kind of going, who amongst you left the pig? Kind of going through like that. Been a bit silly, but yeah, I do think there's an element of like maybe one of them will know who did that, or might be aware of like some kind of, let's say, eccentric fellow, or who knows, involved. So I think that I would go around trying to, I mean, I'm going to fight, but I'm going to also try and like get information. Because I'm going to try to take people alive, I think is the kind of point here.
Okay, there we go. Take prisoners.
Take prisoners.
And
I'm going to think high help with that.
Loot supplies, basically.
Okay.
Like the
Nice and
thing
straightforward.
they came here to do.
Obtain supplies. Nice and straightforward. Okay. Their objective is to repel the invaders. And so they want you all to fuck off, presumably with real losses. But if you just turn around and flee with your tails between your legs, that's just fine for them. I've got 5 tokens down here. They're not all shooting at, you 3, but they're sort of the immediate ones who are armed and are on the docks contending with the part that you've landed on. Let's roll initiative. I install that plugin. I did. Okay, cool. I think I can just roll initiative. Active encounter. That doesn't automatically add you.
I'm excited. I've got the my one obsession has been replaced with wield magic indiscriminately. So I'm gonna have some
Hell
fun
yeah.
turns.
Hell yeah, rampant team.
Hey, listen guys, let's summon the Nakamoth. You go, you bloody go.
Okay.
Let's
Yay.
So,
Take no responsibility for what happens to you.
top of the round is Kessim.
Oh, I haven't rolled my initiative, sorry.
I rolled it all for you.
Oh,
They're all
no.
they are all consecutive.
Oh crap! Shit. Where's my pep time? I'm still thinking about doing a before round spell. But the question is what? So as far as weapons goes,
You have access to anything that was on your character sheet, in addition to a sword, which should be a +1 or a 1 lethal weapon. You have access to, flintlock pistols. They can spare 2 or 3 per person, or you can have access to a musket, which takes an amount of time to fire, but will do.
lethal weapons are too dangerous. However, what would be interesting would be using Transform Life to gain some kind of venom attack. And so I don't want to go vampire like biting people. Maybe claws. Maybe that's discreet enough. Maybe. Could I argue for having like not totally obvious like claws which have venom in? I'm not trying to like slice people up exactly. I'm trying to introduce a venom that will make them woozy and drop. And so I can interrogate them later.
Yeah, you could add barbs to your fingers, I suppose.
Yeah, and this would be a
That's
transform life spell. So it's basically it's a level 3 life spell I'd be doing here. It's a case of
Alright, well, mock up the spell and cast it.
I still have that that damn spell for Dalian's Dalian's daddy is not going to die.
Dalian's daddy.
Today. Yeah, but I have to. Okay. I get feat potency, that so is good. Casting time. Could we say we did this before? We have 3 hours before combat.
You did have 3 hours to do preparations, sure.
Yeah.
Spend distress for a flashback.
Yeah.
Shush.
So, what is Kessin doing just sort of with his first turn? Maybe we can, move you down in the initiative order, or just assume that you're, jumping on.
I am.
Your first action.
Yeah, my intention is to kind of get in there, and I'd probably try to be flanking someone, and so I'm not going and obviously in the front lines to be shot immediately, but I'm trying to flank the enemy and trying to again kind of going in there like okay. Batman, or I guess Catwoman more likely in the situation, trying to.
While you're rolling up the spell, I'm just gonna move you temporarily to the bottom of the initiative,
okay.
Which just roll the spell whenever and let me know if you need something from me. Which brings us to the soldiers. They are gonna fire a couple of volleys. Not all of them at you, but I'll say that whoever was, on shore among your party first, probably Dalian, given his proclivity.
Hatred of the English.
I'll say that Dalian's got, a shot coming his way. So,
do I dodge?
let's see, what do I got? Dex plus arms. It would have taken your action to dodge, which.
Yeah, so no. -6 for my defense.
Okay, and you applied.
I have fate.
Cool. Firearms. Oh dear.
Oh no. Oh no!
Well.
No!
These aren't all at you. This is the one that's coming at you.
Italian. Rest in pepperonis.
Okay, does anything happen from,
You've got your armor up, right?
Yeah. So, the, other crewmates, who are on shore, all largely, take bullets. There's a bunch of crew who are sort of engaging with these soldiers, rushing at them, and you all hear, and Hall especially sees, many of them, yell and scream as they, take bullets into the flank and their sides as, their wounds, as they take wounds. One of the soldiers misses, one of your crew members, and the one shooting at Dalian just completely and utterly misses. Like, he slips on a bit of rope, shoots straight up into the air, and is momentarily entangled. Which brings us down to Dalian.
Dalian should have probably cast a spell before combat, but
well, coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Yep. He's gonna rush to the man that tried to attack him and just wave his sword at him.
Wave.
Hopefully trying to hit him.
So what
succeed.
are you trying to do? Attack? Or
Yes, I'm bonking the man who tried to shoot me.
okay, you're trying to
With my
make
sword.
an non-lethal attack.
Absolutely lethal, sir.
Okay, so I was just confused by the word bonk because
Sorry,
that
it's-
implies like the
Yes,
flat
yeah.
of the blade or
Yeah, I'm bonking, but with
taking out the
with a side
giant
you're not
mallet
bonking
that
with.
Dalian carries.
Then I was just slashing the man. What's his defense?
His defense is 3.
I'm using willpower
Okay.
to negate that, and I have 9 again.
Yeah, this is in fact related to punishing the English. Funny
I
enough.
really want to kill him. One is good.
Okay, 1 is good, and this is a 1 lethal weapon, so he takes 2 points of lethal damage. And that's lethal in his track, so he is beaten down.
I did more damage than his stamina.
It's any amount of lethal or bashing equal to their stamina.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So, cool. Next is Hull.
Okay, I'm gonna cast Gremlins. Everyone's favorite movie.
Yay.
I'm gonna do it at advanced scale, so 5 soldiers that I can see. I mean, how many soldiers is still engaging?
In sort of the immediate engagement with your crew members, there's 4 who just fired, and you probably see, more on the ship.
Okay. Well, they've just fired their guns, so I think I'm gonna cast this on their, any sort of melee weapons they have, I guess.
Okay.
Would that be alright?
So, what's the imago?
So Hull is kind of holding a soul stone, and is, focusing on the kind of the degrading of the wood, and the way that it has been kind of pulled at by the ocean and worn away, and how that is kind of the way of all material things, is to sort of be worn away at all the life in the world.
Okay. Go ahead and roll it.
Okay, got a chance die for the paradox because I'm using the soul stone. And that's 0, so that's fine.
Oh, well, that's a dramatic failure, so doesn't count towards your paradox roll total for the scene.
Hey.
Go
Nice.
ahead and roll the spell.
Okay, and I'm gonna spend a willpower on this. Boom, 4 successes.
So close. Cool. I'll add that to your active spells, and you just, the spirits of the handles of their swords, of, the butts of their bayonets, the bayonets on their muskets, they all sort of come alive with malignant glee in your eyes, and, the actual, resonance representation of them is worn away, as you envision. And next comes down to Pascal. You've made it ashore. You see Dalian charging a man who has just taken a sword to the gut. And
Initiative might
you've
have
also
changed.
witnessed a number of your crewmates cry out in pain as they take balls to their flesh.
So these are they're using like single shot, so they need to like reload after this.
Yes.
My original plan was to force some of the guns to fire prematurely with coaxing, and then I was gonna possibly gremlins, but that happened. Are there more reinforcements you said in the back or behind?
So there's more soldiers on the ship. You can't really, maybe there's a couple in the buildings, but it's all dark there, so you can't really see. So for your intents and purposes, the folks in range of, your vision are these 5. But, you can see, glancing over them with your trained eye, that, they fired muskets, but some of them also have, pistol belts.
If that's the case, I think I'm gonna, turn towards the, aiming at the subjects of their pistol belts. I think I'm gonna force them to fire prematurely, using
Yes.
a coaxing the spirits. So,
Sure.
for Yantra,
We'll
Yeah.
count, well, there's a couple of ways you could do this. You could, do an area of every gun in this area goes off, or you could target, a number of pistols individually. But for Yantras, go ahead.
well, so now we're sort of entering into the melee, open combat. I assume that the air is starting to, you can smell the gun smoke and stuff. It's
Yeah,
chaotic. It's not
There's definitely a lot of
pandemonium and
powder in
it's
the
kinda-
air. Yeah.
So I kind of want to just call upon that, that smell of gunpowder, the general clashing nature of the combat, and kind of just rouse the spirits of those guns.
I like
Like,
it. Yeah,
you know.
that'll be a +1 environment Yantra.
Okay. I think I'll do it in an area.
Okay.
I'm going advanced scale, advanced
So that will
casting time.
be
It's gonna be a big
the
paradox,
guns
so-
being carried by your crewmates also.
How many do I have to target each pistol individually with the scale, or would it
Yes.
just be each subject?
So if you're
Um,
going by subjects, then it would be the spirit of each pistol. If you wanted to make every pistol in a area the size of a small warehouse go off, you could also do that. But
How about just 10 pistols distributed among the ones that haven't gotten stabbed?
all right, sounds good to me.
Casting time, dice mod. I'll be spending willpower for this. I do need to spend some mana, as this is outside of my ruling arcana, but I assume this goes into my obsession of wield magic indiscriminately.
Yeah.
Because this is a big one. I got a 4. I got 3 paradox on this.
Okay. I assume you're trying to contain, or
Since it's indiscriminate, I think this time I will not be containing.
okay.
Hopefully that doesn't make it go too crazy, but uncontained paradox roll.
Oh.
I come up. I come up.
Ooh.
Ooh, that's 3 successes.
Wow. This may be the
Yes.
first time in a mage game I've ever run for you people where unreleased paradox actually gets successes. Okay, so I'll think about that for a little bit and go ahead and roll the spell.
Okay.
That's awesome. I love it.
There we go.
Guardians of the Veil are not here. Let's
Nice.
Well, you don't go rampant and then contain your magic, you know?
Yeah. Definitely go ahead and take an arcane beat.
Very forceful, literally just splitting the air, calling all the gun spirits. Arcane beat.
Calling all gun spirits, indeed. Okay, so how do I want to do this?
I
Yeah,
can't
I'll
believe
just-
you've already resolved rampant, and I've had it for a session.
Oh yeah, do resolving rampant gets the arcane beat, or was it the paradox arcane beat?
So, sorry, we'll deal with that in a second, but,
Abyssal environment still.
One.
Abyssal.
okay, well, that's a lot of successes. Okay, so all of these guns go off at once. The ones that are holstered across these people's chests, they, there's this smell of gun smoke just in a plume out from them, washing out over, them, around the, crewmates around them. Most of the bullets, sort of fly wide into the deck. Others, bury themselves in the flesh of their wielders. Others, maybe you hear one of your crewmates cry out in pain. Unclear to know if they were, stabbed by something or hit by one of those bullets. But just everything becomes heady and hazy and confusing as that sort of yantra you built into the imago of, the chaotic gun smoke, the clashing, the confusion, just sort of roils outwards over everyone and everything as something.
Oh yeah, can you imagine the noise? Where do the guns go off? What? Where do the guns go off?
So, conditions, tilts, where those go? Tilts, okay. Environmental, yeah,
It's
so,
become
actually,
celestial.
you all feel sort of, almost like the hair on your, forearms and on your head and your beard sort of curling as this intense wave of heat washes over you and everyone else standing on the docks. Hull's not in the middle of it to feel it, but can see everyone suddenly, start to gasp for air down there. Pirate or colonist otherwise, as you are subject to the extreme heat environmental tilt, but a sticky, invasive, cloying heat. Heat's not usually cloying, but this heat is cloying. And next is Kessin.
On the bright
Some
side,
of the ship cannons didn't go off. Okay, my spell failed spectacularly. 3 hours wasted. So, different change of tactics whilst my head is ringing from all the guns going off. I try and flank, and I am going to just, instead I'm going to throw fists, except every time I throw a fist, it's going to be bruised flesh as a spell I'm casting. So I'm going to be inflicting, significant, wounds, hopefully. And I'm
Okay.
trying to just, like, inflict this bash until they just go to sleep, go to sleep. That's the idea. Do I need to roll to not, like, lose my track of everything because of the gunfire?
So now that I actually read extreme heat, it's not really something that affects in combat as much from the written, but I'll just say that it's, a -1 penalty to actions that require exertion. So
I'm kind of fake throwing fists.
mhm.
It's the
Are
magic
you-
which is doing the damage.
Yeah, are you trying to cast the are you trying to deliver the spells via touch, or are you just casting
Yeah,
sensory?
yeah.
and trying
I'm
to
literally throwing fists, except I was like, okay, if I can't use like barbed claws,
Alright.
then because like that's not a
roll
thing,
the spell.
because spells hit me. Do it for 1 turn though. I think that's fine. Can I use my shadow name as a Well, I don't have a shadow name really.
Not particularly.
Don't really have any interest to use. Okay, paradox. You know what? Not containing.
Oh my goodness.
Today.
Okay. Well, so going back, I really need to make some hotkeys for this. All right, releasing paradox. Yep, 1 paradox. Go ahead, roll your spell. It's fine.
And I cause.
Okay.
Why even bother?
So
Wow.
Kessin, Kessin tries to cast the spell, and there's still this effort of will that you've worked upon in the world. You're still tried to twist the the life patterns around you, even if your imago isn't made real. And Kessin, see what would be interesting. Kessin, I'm gonna say Kessin actually feels quite alive in this heat. Kessin's probably used to it at this point, and Kessin is frenzying a bit from having their blood quickened by this strange invasive heat permeating them. Yeah, so we'll call it frenzied. It will take a point of willpower for you to disengage from combat,
Okay.
and then you'll get a condition when you resolve that, or not. You'll get a beat when you resolve that.
It'll be a cool beat, won't it?
All right, and I'll send you back up to the top of the order. Kessin again. Actually, no,
Yay,
I'll just keep you at the bottom, just for the flow of things. Soldier, one of them is out. The rest of them have all taken an amount of damage. Well, I'm just gonna call it bashing because the bullets weren't aimed terribly well. And yeah, they start swinging their swords. Two of them, I'm gonna say, are swinging at Dalian because Dalian is in the thick of things. 2 at the other crewmates. Dalian, what's your defense again? 6?
6. Yeah, 6.
Okay. Against Dalian. Okay. There's a success on chance die. Your defense reduces by 1, which is still a chance die for this next one. That's a failure. And against crewmates, okay, and against your crewmates, also no successes, but Dalian does take 2 points of lethal
That
damage.
failure got Gremlin, right?
Yep. So they're all.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
They're all dramatic failures.
Okay, so they, the gun, or the swords sort of all fly, like the tangs of the swords just sort of fly out of the handles as the blades go whirring through the air, spinning, reflecting the firelight dramatically, almost seeming to melt in this cloud of oppressive heat. Oh, I forgot about the penalty of the extreme heat, whatever. It wouldn't have changed anything because it's still a chance die for this one who did hit Dalian. Dalian takes 2 points of lethal damage, which means that you are now beaten down. So it'll take a point of willpower for you to continue to fight if you wish to continue to. Or rather, it will take a point of willpower in order to perform a violent action.
Because it says if one side's intent violence, the other side can surrender not without being killed and don't get beaten down and gain no benefit for surrendering. Like, does that apply to us or to them?
I mean,
because Dalian definitely wants to kill some English.
If you wanted to harm the English, and you certainly are doing that. But
so I don't think the soldier that I attacked is beaten down yet.
I mean, he is beaten down. Yes, the one that you did lethal to, he's crawled off, and is trying to escape, maybe regroup himself. So that's why there's only sort of 4 still in the combat. And note that being beaten down doesn't mean you have to stop fighting. You can spend willpower if you have.
I only have
willpower
1
remaining.
point of willpower left, so I'm pretty much done fighting.
Maybe. I mean, once that willpower is gone, yes. But for the moment, you can still keep on fighting. But the rest of them have lost their swords, their guns have all misfired, and the crew is sort of swarming over them. They don't have a whole lot left in them. But Hull, what are you going to do? Or no, Dalian, you're next.
Going to attack, to spend 1 willpower to attack the guy that hit me.
Okay.
What's his?
His defense is 3.
Okay.
Nice.
Yay!
So that's 3 whole points of lethal damage as he screams. Blood spurts out from, his flank, where your wicked slice catches him just below the protection of his armpit, into his rib cage, and the blood darkens the red of his coat and seeps into the white of his pants and bandolier as he backs away from you. Okay, yeah, and he's also beaten down. There's not a whole lot fight left in the, or a lot of fight left in the others, especially once their weapons are all gone. But Hall, what are you doing for this? Probably, it looks like it may be the last round.
Shit. I think. In terms of like where we think the valuables are, like, is there anything kind of standing in the way that I could deal with? Or?
Well, there's a door. It's got a lock on it. It has a couple of guards in front of it. Sort of will generically mix that into, you know, this clutch of soldiers that you've been dealing with. There's torches lit in front of the warehouse.
I mean, I think Hull is gonna, I guess maybe like coaxing the spirits on the door. Can the soldiers see? I guess they can't really see me from where they are, can they?
You do have a disadvantaged vantage point, or they have a disadvantaged vantage point on you from the deck, yes. Though, there is the other ship, which it still has cannons, but with all of the damage that it took from your plan that got you so close, it's not really in a position to do anything.
Yeah, I might delay actually. I'm not sure there's anything that really.
Okay, cool.
I mean, unless like with coaxing the spirits to unlock that door.
Sure.
I feel like they just turn around and lock it again.
I mean, they've got bigger issues at the moment.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna open the door.
Cool, go for it. Just go ahead and roll me spirits plus gnosis.
Success.
Success. Alright, the little, round cartoonish lock spirit, or, you know, little, lock motes inside of it that haven't formed into a spirit get agitated as the lock snaps open. Which brings us down to Pascal. Awash in this awful heat.
I think Pascal's just gonna like move, I guess trying to get like out of the heat and towards where the stuff would be, but shaking his head like of the magic a little bit, maybe do a few pot shots at the remaining English.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a Dex plus firearms roll.
Dex firearms at -1 because of the heat.
Yes.
Yeah, unlikely to hit these, but we'll try. Oh, there we go.
Okay. Yep. That's a point of lethal damage.
No, we need to question them.
I mean, they're alive.
You have it. It's fine.
Okay. Next is Kesson. Recently frenzied.
Okay. Is any of the English on their feet?
Yep, there's two of them still fighting the good fight. Resorting to fisticuffs
Okay.
at this point.
Time to wallop one of them. I pick one at random. I'm gonna try again.
Do you shout that out loud? Catchphrase.
Do I go action Kesson? It's gonna go and try and punch one. It's gonna go well. Okay. Duration. Nope. No. Just one. Yep. I am going to not contain because it's gone so well for us. Oh, come on!
Alright, well, roll the
Hey!
spell.
It won't fucking work, will it? Oh! Wait,
Oh
no.
my
Yes,
God.
one.
We're gonna cause more problems to ourselves.
So, roll your, dexterity plus brawl roll -3 to try to touch.
Well, aren't they already occupied? So that would give me an advantage, wouldn't it? So
Sure. We'll say it's 2, or because one of them's already used their defense this round.
Dex Bull -2.
Yeah. And don't forget about the penalty from the heat.
Oh, never mind.
Alright. Either way, so you loose the spell, into your hand. You try to reach out and swipe at this soldier in front of you, seeing red in your eyes. And as you swipe at him and miss, the spell sort of continues forth from your hand and billows out. I don't know what the imago looks like. I imagine that Kessin is sort of, imagining the flesh twisting and sinews bruising as this actually reminds Kessin a lot of the meat cloud experience from being on Antigua, as in his eyes, sort of all of this disparate flesh and sinew and muscle starts twisting before him in this one subject that he intended, but also in the one next to him, and also in the crewmate next to him, and also in the crewmate next to him, and also in yourself. As the spell has many more subjects than you expected.
Oh no.
Take 3 bashing.
Ouch.
And with that, that's 5 bashing on both of these guys, which is more than their stamina. So they are also beaten down. Which I think Kessin probably also is beaten down, given that his their stamina's 3. End of the encounter, there are more people beaten down on their side than on your side, which means you win. The clouds of powder clear, the uninjured crewmates, or not too injured crewmates of your side, have subdued the soldiers who are still alive, mercifully finished off the soldiers on their side who are too far gone, sort of boarded the enemy frigate, and there's pitched battle going on there still, but on shore, you all get your objectives. You get what you want. Dalian wounded British soldiers, Pascal kept Dalian safe, mostly. Kessin is able to take a prisoner or 2, and Hull leads or directs people to start carrying supplies out of the warehouse, water and food, etc. By this point, many lights have gone on in the actual settlement itself, and you see figures start to flee out into the darkness. For those non-combatants who are leaving out of their homes. So we will end combat.
Nice one.
Can I say
You may.
that Dalian, having been spooked, is going to do something stupid. He's going to, as he sees someone getting out of the room and running into the darkness, he's going to run after them with no really intent of killing them or hurting them, but just hear English and just straight up dashes through darkness, not knowing where he's going to go.
Okay, so you're trying to tackle a shape in the darkness?
Yes.
Okay.
We're doing who it is, why, where.
One moment, please.
And resolve spooked.
Yeah, that sounds good. Go ahead and I'll throw a beat into the pot for that. So did anyone just alright, I'll deal with this action from Dalian, and then we'll go over logistics for things that we didn't want to trip up the combat, and then we'll take our break, because we're a little overdue for it. Okay, so Dalian, my coin flip was odd, so Dalian tackles someone to the ground. You hear a masculine sounding cry as this figure goes to the ground underneath you. They've made it sort of past the spikes, or the spiked planks that fortified the exterior of the encampment on the land side. So I imagine you vaulted over that and you're in the tree line at this point. And through the moonlight, now that you're on top of this figure, you see that it's a man, close cropped black hair, and dark skin. and he's still holding his hands up before his face, like begging for his life. And we will go back to the others who are standing ashore. All right. So we had a couple conditions resolved. Pascal, you resolved your rampant condition.
Rampant
You suffered
and-
a paradox. So
and
go ahead.
my obsession, because my obsession was wield magic indiscriminately.
Yep, that's true. So you will take an arcane beat for the obsession, and I will throw a beat into the pot for rampant because I think that's a normal beat. Did anyone else fulfill a condition or obsession?
Probably punish the English.
Yep. That's been resolved for Dalian. I'll take it off your sheet.
Yay.
Or you can do it for yourselves.
Yep.
Well, I
Cass-
advised Captain Balthazar, and did the people running away, did that count as terrifying someone?
Yeah, they're terrified.
Cool.
Okay.
I
So
had
we'll
I
do
had
the
confronted-
aspiration at the end of the session.
Okay.
But what was it? Oh, Kessin. So at the end of this encounter, when things are starting to wind down, Kessin, you're still frenzied. You still, want to inflict harm. You still, just have too much pent-up energy in you. So if you have two options, both of them will net a beat. You could spend a point of willpower to calm yourself down, or you could run off and do something frenetic and unadvised. Or unadvisable. What are we thinking? Henry, you there?
Hello.
Yes,
Oh, sorry. What's the question?
So this frenzied condition that you got as a result of your paradox, you have two ways of resolving it. Both of them will net a beat. You could spend that point of willpower to calm yourself down, take a deep breath, or you could do something frenetic and ill-advised.
Ooh. I do like frenetic and ill-advised. Although, I do have something else.
Shoot.
I could technically, since paradox is always fun, I could try another spell on myself. 'Cause I can control instincts. I've done this before. I've manipulated my own instincts and those of others. So could I try doing that to calm myself, and then if I get paradox, fuck it.
Sure.
As opposed to spending willpower. Okay, this is just like for myself trying to calm myself. Right. So,
You're gonna spend willpower to cast the spell too?
no, no.
Sure, go for it. Just give me a life plus gnosis roll really quick.
Life, gnosis. Where were you when I needed you?
Okay, yeah.
Who was carrying you?
Successes. So go ahead and I'll throw a beat into the pot. You can take frenzied off your character sheet. Okay, cool. And so we'll end the scene there, move into a new scene, and we will take our break. I'll see everyone back here, including viewers, at 6 minutes past the hour.
All right.
See you in a bit.
See you then.
Bye.
Okay, and we're back. Welcome back to Horizon and Marmoris. On screen, the mages of the company have just led a successful on-state or foray onto shore on this settlement of St. Hilary with minimal casualties among their small company, but with many or several wounded among their erstwhile crewmates, thanks to a very lucky series of volleys from the onshore repelling British soldiers. Eventually, all of the soldiers were overpowered.
All right, hello.
Some killed. Hey, welcome back. Some killed.
Hey.
Some, just taken prisoner and had the fight knocked out of them. The skeleton crew on the frigate was subdued. Sailors, soldiers, and all. And there are a number of civilians in the village who some of them fled into the jungle, some of them holed up in their homes, unwilling to flee, sort of hoping for the best. One thing that I would like to know how you deal with is how the Cabal handles the prospect of their enraged and greedy, or not greedy, but their crew members from going on a bit of a rampage in the civilian quarters. You came here looking for loot, and loot is what you'll find there. Do you just let them go wild? Do you attempt to restrain them at all? Do you let them go looting while also attempting to curb their more violent instincts while they loot?
I mean, does it seem like they're going to kill anyone? Like, what is the worst they're doing?
Well, you don't necessarily know before they've left your line of sight, but from their state of agitation, it looks like, if anyone attempts to resist their looting, it could turn violent.
Well, I don't feel I have a leg to stand on because I wanted to punch everyone. Just a moment ago.
Right, Kessin's probably egging them on. Well, aside from, Kessin's spell, giving them mastery over their limbic system. Kessin's calmed down. No risk of that. But
Would some life compelling maybe? Because I'm still rampant, so I'm leaning towards a spell here. Would life compelling be enough to kind of just lift the red mist a bit?
sure. So compelling, for the viewers at home, allows one to sort of make something, or make the subject do a thing which it was already prone to do. What exactly, what aspect of them are you going to try to compel to make them, blunt their propensity for violence?
I guess kind of amp up the kind of the hunger, or like the
food hunger, or
like kind of food hunger, and kind of like focusing on the hoarding stuff, getting stuff, more than the let's fucking kill some people.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead and just I'm not gonna make you roll for it. It's life compelling. You've got time and subjects, but your magic sort of carries over this area, blunting violent instincts and increasing, acquisitive ones for these subjects in particular. And there's minimal injuries or bloodshed from the civilians who have holed up, even as their possessions are taken. Meanwhile, those on the docks still feel this lingering, uncomfortable heat. You can see, those who were wounded on either side are, sort of gasping and wasting as they, continue to sit in this unseasonable heat, even for the tropics. It makes sort of healing much harder for them in terms of actual mechanics. Bashing damage isn't healing due to this heat. And you're obviously you all cast a lot of spells, so your peripheral mage sight was just catching everything that you were doing as you did so. But this heat definitely something feels tingly in your sight or in your peripheral sight.
Any particular arcana?
No, actually. Which
Oh,
is not something that Hall's experienced before, has she?
no, that kind of catches her attention. She's gonna bring up active sight certainly and start. I don't know, kind of checking out these people and checking out the area a bit.
Yep. So without making you have to do a bunch of rolls, you see the residue of Pascal's, spell, especially since it was a spirit spell that you're familiar with from having used it yourself a bunch. There was this sort of coaxing of spirits to make them produce fire and spark and motion and friction, and then more friction ballooned out of it, sort of expanding into this cloud of sourceless heat. You've probably felt, you've felt Force's effects before, possibly. Force's a fairly, gross aspect of the world. You know what that feels like, and this is not that, even though it is heat. It's something that isn't, the heat that you're familiar with in the world, created through either mundane or magical means. It's sort of making you rack your gnosis a bit as you investigate it. And if you're trying to, activate scrutiny, go ahead and spend the willpower and give me some rolls with whichever arcana you're using to investigate.
I'll use Spirit and Gnosis.
Sounds good.
So, Scrutiny, am I doing a revelation roll first off? Or am I
You don't need to, but you can.
I'll just go straight into Scrutiny, I think. So, remind me, I'm rolling straight 3 dice, or am I subtracting opacity, or...?
Nope. So,
Oh, that's
for
right, yeah, so it's...
for scrutiny, it's unmodified. Revelation is modified by current opacity.
Alright, 2 successes.
Okay, nice. Keep going.
Oh, that's 0.
Alright, one more free roll.
2 more. Does that
Okay.
reveal it?
One door opens, and as you sort of peel away this first layer before your eyes, you've probably got a pretty good vantage point of it. If Hall has stayed on deck of the ship, maybe if Hall has gone down, you're looking around you as it surrounds you, as you feel it on your skin. But this is magic that has gone outside of the normal rules of your understanding. You know how the Spirit Arcanum works. Spirits, exert their influence on things in the world, and that causes, normal interactions as far as the laws of physics dictate it, unless abetted by more magic. But this has expanded beyond what the magic should have been capable of and what the magic was intended for, and that has caused consequences which were not included in the Imago, which is not how Hall understands spells. When you cast a spell, you have to form the Imago, and if it isn't in the Imago, it doesn't happen, essentially.
Yeah, this is fascinating. Yeah, Hull is very interested.
Okay. Kessin, we'll go to Dalian, since Dalian currently has someone pinned
I
underneath
can
him.
go to Jason first if you want.
Okay, sure. Kessin, you've got some subdued English soldiers. You've got some sailors aboard the ship who could be interrogated should you desire. You've got some civilians hiding with their families in their homes, hoping that they don't get killed as their possessions are ransacked from them. There's slaves elsewhere, near the beginnings of the farming plantation, which is being built up. Where are you starting / how is your investigation / interrogation going?
I think I'm gonna do it to focus on one at a time, and see if they are aware of anything spooky going on.
Spooky.
If it might be one of their own or something that they've been aware of. Yeah. I think for this I'd be doing. Let's see.
So I'm just trying to get at what exactly Kessin is asking of them, other than anything weird around here. Well, there's
Well, I would mention the usage of a pig's head, and
okay,
anyone
yes.
like ask like a butcher for something for a reason, said that kind of thing. Or
Okay,
whoever
so
would
you're
be
looking
in
for
charge
things
of the livestock.
specifically that might have been related to the pig's heads, the
Yes.
strange ritualistic stuffing, the anything might be related to that. Okay, that helps. Go ahead and give me a so how is he going about this? I'm trying to figure out, is this going to be a manipulation-y thing or a presence-y thing? Is what I'm
Actually,
wondering.
first up, I would identify who is the most important members of this particular outpost. So this would be leaning upon my politics, and so I'd want to figure out who is like the most likely to be like, not specifically the person who is like the figurehead, but the person who's the most administratively responsible.
Okay, sure. I'm not gonna make you roll for it because anyone you ask will surely tell you.
No.
There's not a governor per se, nothing so grand as that, but there is an agent of the crown who pays the sends back the taxes and pays for the supplies and keeps track of ledgers and all of that. And Gregory, him, would be the one to ask.
Okay, Gregory. Tell me everything you might know about someone has been perhaps using pigs' heads for,
Well, pigs' bodies.
shall we say,
they don't have
yeah, pigs'
heads.
bodies for. Sorry, yeah, pigs' bodies. I keep thinking pigs' heads. For ill-defined purposes. Put it that way. So that'd be manipulation.
You're being pretty direct about this, so I would say give me a either presence plus intimidation or presence plus persuasion, depending on how you go about it.
It's not going to be very good for me. Oh well, I'll roll it.
Yeah.
Chance die.
Nice. Well, chance die. So
annoyingly, a chance die. Yeah.
So Gregory is, I imagine that you've had some of the crew, help you locate Gregory. Gregory is in, his cabin. He is, actually, it looks like he's, before you managed to get there, set fire to some ledgers. You see, the remains of papers in his fireplace that are, curling up in smoke. And, he's ready to, immediately face what he expects what you filthy pirates to want, right? Demands for telling them where, your treasure is hidden and where all the money is, and, he's ready to sort of stand resolute against your extortion and be the brave hero. But your first question off the bat just sort of immediately takes him aback, and he sort of blanks, like, pig? I don't... illicit... I don't know, I forget what the word you use, but, nefarious. Nefarious pigs? But we don't even have pigs on the settlement. I mean, we have salted pork. What?
No pigs. Did you ever have pigs?
You're toying with me, sir. Tell me what you want.
I'm asking if anyone has been taking livestock and doing anything unusual with it.
Do you have any Welshmen?
No, sir.
Would that be a stereotype outside of English, though?
I'm sure that, Paul's heard it all, with, the travels between ports. But the answer after, an amount of half indignant, half deeply confused stuttering is that no, he cannot tell you anyone who has any eccentric, livestock-themed hobbies or proclivities, infamous or otherwise, on the settlement. They have animals which were imported. They have chickens. They have a number of cows for milk. They probably don't have a goat. They're too posh for that still. They're still, trying their best to make, traditional British crops grow in this climate and failing. But there are no pigs that they have brought with them here. And they have not seen any wild pigs or boar or anything on the island during their hunting expeditions. And Kessin would recall that the ones that were found, sort of buried, had been there for quite a while, longer than the months that they have been setting up this settlement. Okay, so while Kessin is continuing this doubtless comical interrogation, what is Pascal doing now that, the fog of war has faded and the, red has gone down, and, he's standing amidst, the wounded and the looting?
Probably trying to, organize the looting so that we can actually get like an inventory of what we've got. Unless that happens afterwards,
Yeah, that's perfectly fine for him to, hop right into.
He's done piracy raids before he's been on them, so he's gonna try to like, keep it organized, add some sort of like method to the madness.
Yep. Since Pascal and Hull are the ones who are hanging around the pier, Balthazar came on shore with the initial party. His clothing is a bit torn up. It looks like he's maintained superficial injuries, but isn't wounded or anything to that sort. And you hear him remark to one of the crew members that maybe with all them sailors on that tub, the Tulip. What a just terrible name for a ship. Doesn't roll off the tongue as well. Maybe we can, convince some of the boys there to join us if they'd like to get a little bit more of a paycheck. And, there's some agreement as everyone, agrees without wanting to be the one to go aboard with him.
Hull will go aboard with him.
Okay. Cool. And while you're all doing that, we cut to Dalian out in the darkness. You've got a man begging for his life, pinned underneath you. What do you do?
Do I recognize him in any way, or is this someone I never met before?
It is no one you have ever met before. He, has medium build, clearly, in decent physical shape, albeit, malnourished. His clothes are ill-fitting and sort of hang off his, too thin frame. And he is, black. Short crop black hair. You don't recognize him.
He's gonna just come to his senses and just get off the man.
Okay. Oh, you also resolve spooked, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'll throw that into the beat pod as well. Okay. He, very unsteadily, gets to his feet after you, get off him and allow him to do so. Thank you. Why? Who? What's happening?
He's gonna look back at the tent and say, retribution for what the English did.
Well, he certainly understands that in all of the various meanings of what the English did could mean. And he asks you, what now?
I'm not sure, but if you want to get out, my people lived on the island before the English. If you want to join them, otherwise, I don't know.
And Dalian, definitely doesn't look like
Nope.
the traditional English. So I think that probably, reassures him somewhat. And he tells you his name is Abraham. He was brought onto the island as an enslaved person, working to set up their fields. And when you mention this chance at freedom, he's very happy to listen to your pitch. I'm not gonna make you go over all of the details of the conversation unless you want to, but
no, he's basically gonna say that we have a maroon community, but like the English have been attacking us and they unleashed disease, but now that's why we attacked tonight. But he's free to come and join if he wants to.
That bit he's familiar with, the attacking, at least.
Yeah.
Are you going to attempt to lead him yourself, or do you just sort of give him direction and...
I'm gonna... Daniel is gonna propose he still need to find something in the town, but after that he can guide him to a maroon camp if he wants.
Okay. He clearly looks conflicted about the idea of hanging out, because there's always the possibility that he could be recaptured and thrust back into chains. So he's
gonna give him the general direction, but say like that the jungle is very dangerous at night, so he can go now if he wants, but otherwise he can stick with Dalian, and Dalian will help him join the camp later on.
Okay. He's feeling brave, so he thanks you for the directions and...
Wait, before he goes. I think I'm gonna he's gonna just ask him to Dagan is not gonna explain much of it, but he's just gonna ask him to wait just a bit, and he's going to put his hand on the shoulder of the man, take his put his other hand on his artifact, spend a point of mana to summon his Watcher, and cast a spell on the guy. Exceptional luck.
Okay. So you you have your active sight up. I assume you just include your rule and
Mhm.
arcana. Sort of
Yep.
the symbols of story and direction and fate and the thorns sort of crowd into your vision, hearing, feeling, taste, smell, and in the sort of through this hedge of thorns that has taken the place of the trees of the jungle beyond, you see this, you hear, feel, smell this twinkling figure observing you from a distance, very angular and diaphanous, and you
Mm.
can use that as a path tool, Yantra, the presence of your
Yeah.
watcher. Where is it? Sure.
Sorry, what?
I'm just you treat its presence as a path tool, Yantra.
Yeah, a plus
Okay.
one. Yep.
So that'll be a +1. Just making sure it was only +1. Didn't want to shortchange you.
Where's Magnosis?
It should be on
Please,
your
Magnosis.
magic or on your
Should
fate
I-
traits.
Should we roll with also spell factor or just
If you're trying to like give it duration, then sure, work up the whole spell.
I was going to use conditional duration for that.
But yeah, because exceptional luck is one that gets reach hungry quickly. So I think
Yep.
having the full spell work up for it is important for deciding if paradox is a possibility and all that jazz.
Okay. So one reach for instant casting. One for advanced duration. And using a point of mana for common condition when you arrive at camp, the spell will end. Basically.
Okay.
And that's it. So that's one overreach.
Are you containing or releasing?
Containing, sir. No ducks. Oh, why did I only... Sorry, I forgot. I only took a +1 and I forgot to use my Fating Noses. It's not very... One is enough.
One is enough. You. So, what does the imago look like? Feel like? Smell like? What does the imago take the form of for Dalian?
It looks like one of... it's a fate one, right? So it's very anthropomorphized, so it looks like one wispy being made out of air and mist comes and cloak, use part of his body to cloak the man. Basically, giving him a cloak of mist and thorns.
Sounds good. All right. You with your after your strange benediction, taking a couple of seconds, probably takes
Yep.
a full 6 seconds, which he finds just at the cusp of an unnerving amount of time for you to be standing there with his hand.
Especially
your
since
hand on
Dalian
it.
doesn't say anything.
Um,
You just focus on the spell.
He thanks you hesitantly, takes a look at the looting and rampaging, which is presently happening in the camp, maybe some fires being lit, and then he turns and runs off into the forest, or into the jungle.
Alright.
Meanwhile, on board, the Tulip. What a silly name. Hall is standing next to Balthazar de la Vega, and Balthazar is about to give a speech before the subdued crew arrayed before him. Does Hall do anything to assist Balthazar?
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of. I think gonna try and get a read of the mood of the kind of captive audience, and just kind of maybe nudge things either way, depending.
Okay, so like I don't know, if he like I don't know, give him a little nudge when he's saying something that you think is really hitting home for them, and like oh, more of that, or
Yeah, just like oh, is intimidation working? Is kind of incentivizing them
yeah,
working,
just
and
like
just sort of
whispering in his ear.
exactly, yeah.
Okay,
Oh, I forgot to ask.
Sure.
Would Dalian letting the man go and helping with the spell count as compassionate for purpose of my virtue?
Sure. Take a willpower.
It's my virtue, so it would be all of my willpower.
So it would be if it were an action that really hindered you or the cabal.
It doesn't have to be to hinder in normal virtue. It's
No,
meaningful actions.
it does for virtue. It does not for vice. Um, so vice you can lean on
Okay.
whenever. Virtue you can if you do an action that fulfills your virtue, but in a way which really negatively impacts you, like you're sticking to it despite the negative actions, then it fulfills all your willpower. But I like to run it just sort of the same way that other splats have their modified anchors, like the beast and the whatever, or needle and thread for changelings. If you do like a little action that touches on your virtue, I'm fine treating that like a vice, or treating as if it were a vice. Or if you do a big action that's either your vice or virtue in a way that really impedes you, then I'm happy treating that like a major use of a changeling's thread. I
Okay,
think
that's
it
fine with me.
makes it a little easier for you to actually lean on your virtue.
Sure.
Yeah, so go ahead and take back a willpower
Thank
for
you. Sorry for interrupting.
it. Yeah, go ahead and give your roll a Hull. I think this will probably be composure plus empathy, and that'll add on to Balthazar's roll.
Cool. Just 2 successes.
Nice. Okay. So. Another dice onto that. Balthazar's rolling. Okay. So that's 2 successes for Balthazar. And not for Dalian.
40 successes, wow.
Yeah, alright. So Balthazar gives, in his typical big gesture, florid language, broken English, gives this speech about, the throwing off the chains of, owners stamping on their necks, withholding foods, watching them waste in the hold, pocketing all of the proceeds for themselves, and the glories of democracy. And thanks to your sort of you give him a little whisper in his ear when he's going a little too far on the path of on a given rhetorical tack, and that helps him make a much more rousing speech. And by the end of it, a few of the crew members raise their hands and offer to join the crew. And you count that as a win to hopefully replace the able bodies or replace some of the able bodies that were left on shore at Antigua, and some of the ones who were wounded and will be out of action for some time.
Is there anything else like kind of on the ship that is worth poking around? Is there like captain's quarters or anything that might have anything interesting?
Sure. If you want to go do a search, give me a composure plus investigation. Well, it'd be more like a composure plus investigation roll, because you probably have the time to be methodical about things if you're choosing to take it.
Yeah, sure. That's 3 successes.
Nice. Yeah, so I mean, you find letters, you find the captain's log. You find sort of inventories of all the things on the ship. So you have a pretty accurate idea of how many supplies there are stored on the ship in terms of water and food and barrels of citrus. You have sort of you have orders for the captain of the ship from the Royal Navy about how long they're supposed to be there and when they can expect other ships from the Navy to be coming by the area, which could be useful for your purposes.
Good to know,
In
yeah.
addition to other more mundane valuables, like you find navigation equipment and which are expensive in this day and age currently, and you find baubles and other valuables.
Hell yeah, I'm gonna scoop some of that up.
So I think that with all of that accomplished, we've got 15 minutes left. So, final ending question. How
Yes.
does everyone feel standing amidst the smell of gun smoke, the moans of the wounded, the plunder and supplies, and the adrenaline rush of what seems like success? How does everyone feel about what has transpired tonight? We'll start with Dalian.
Dalian feels strange. He didn't know it could be so. Dalian life, he's always been kind of meek and gentle most of his life, and he didn't know he had it in him to just charge and slash his sword at people. He's also a bit disturbed that what happened doesn't disturb him as much as he thought it would. Back when he wasn't awakened, this would probably have been a nightmare for him, and now it's still extremely unpleasant. The realities of battle, the wounded, the pain of his own wound, and barbarity of all of it, but is disturbed that it doesn't affect him as much as he would have thought,
Okay.
if that
cool.
makes sense.
It does make sense. Next is Kesson. How does Kesson feel about the events of this evening?
Frustrated. Didn't really get to do what he wanted to do, unfortunately, which is definitely going to be frustrating. Yeah, not really much more to elucidate on that at the moment.
Okay. How does Hull... Sorry, go ahead.
No, fine.
Okay. Hull's feelings.
Hull is kind of is still kind of in her shadow persona, so is pretty focused and pretty kind of like, yeah, we did what we came here to do. Feels pretty justified. There are people who there was bloodshed, but the people going into it knew what they signed up for, and the people that we hurt today, they were doing all these horrible things to the Maroon community. So Hull feels kind of justified, actually, and not particularly harrowed by the whole thing. Probably helped by not being in the thick of it, but is generally feeling like this is a big win. This is a good start to a pirating career.
Nice. All right. And Pascal.
Probably
New raid,
in a
new
word.
crew.
Yeah, like a bit weird, because Pascal's obviously been on raids before. Maybe not always like directly in the front, but he's definitely been in combat before. But this time felt a little bit different. Like maybe he's like a lightheaded. The fact that he came out and used magic and it was just so much easier is definitely going to be something that's at the back of his mind. Like there wasn't nearly as much like fear or a lack of control. It was just kind of like magic did solve the problem.
Join Wisdom 7 gang.
Oh, do I have to roll another wisdom thing since I didn't contain like 3 paradox on a roll?
Yeah,
that
that
is major paradox.
I mean,
like
yeah,
at
that
our
is.
level.
It's relatively major. If you were higher Gnosis, that would have been many more dice, so I think it counts as major for our purposes. Go ahead and roll 3 dice.
Okay.
Hold on. Does it tie into your obsession?
Yes. Well, my obsession was like wield magic indiscriminately, so yes.
Okay. Nice. So roll
So
me
with Vice
two
and
dice.
Virtue, right?
Yeah. There's
That's
also
tough.
that.
Vice and virtue don't really connect
does-
to it, and I think it
Yeah.
isn't really
it's true.
related to faster kind. I rolled 2 or 4. Does it go up or down?
2. If it's related to your obsession, you roll fewer dice.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's feels a little interesting to, have them chain in that way. But that's the nature of Hubis, right? So Wisdom 6, and take another arcane beat. Also, everyone can take an arcane beat from witnessing the anomaly which occurred as a result of all of this paradox.
Yes, big dogs.
Pascal's starting to get like, it's not like major, of course. 6 wisdom isn't like that low, but he's definitely not taking like the proper precautions that maybe he should be.
So,
But
Pascal.
he's
So really quickly, before we move, to wrapping things up with aspirations, how does Pascal feel about the fact that his magic did go out of control in this way? And this applies to Kessin also, who caused, not as big of a paradox as Pascal, but definitely felt their magic get out of control. This isn't the first time it's happened to Kessin, but it may be the first time that something of this sort has happened to Pascal.
a little worried. But more than that, curious, like what caused that to happen.
Okay. So we'll instead of for this being either rampant or megalomaniacal, we'll give Pascal a different wisdom condition,
Ooh.
which we will call experimental. So the next time that Pascal elects not to contain paradox, he'll regain a point of willpower.
Ooh.
And that will resolve it.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So everyone added the arcane beats to their sheet from witnessing the anomaly. We'll move over into finishing up with aspirations and obsessions, and I will end the stream so that you don't have to witness that boring stuff. Thanks for watching, everyone, and
Bye.
have a great rest of your weekend.